because
recording, sleeping,
the
party happening.
I
Oh my
know.
gosh.
I know it happens fast, right?
Oh,
So cute. And okay, so he was born in December.
Yes, December
Yes.
4th.
Oh
Jay-Z's
my
birthday. My husband wants
Oh,
everyone to know.
nice.
I'm like, you
It's
mean Kamari's
royalty.
birthday. Yes.
right. Yeah. That's so funny.
Although I went into the hospital on the 2nd.
Oh my
goodness.
gosh.
2 days.
So where's my trophy? Please?
Yeah,
No kidding. That's
seriously.
awful.
Yeah. Can you?
I did see that he was a December baby.
Yes.
So you got out of the hospital and then the COVID stuff.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And
Not too long
already like
after.
being a new mom, you're scared of everything. And
Right.
Yeah.
so it's been interesting, but also as like a touring artist, we were just talking about this the other day. We would have had that baby all over the country by now. So it's like, at least we were forced to just slow down and spend these magical moments in his young life, just hunkered down. So it has its good sides too.
Yeah, it's kind of nice, especially like you're in California, so I guess winter isn't as big for us.
Yeah.
Like having a winter baby is like no one come near them.
That's right.
But at least with something like this, you can kind of hunker down and kind of just like snuggle more.
I know. We're like, sorry, no company.
Yeah.
But he would be 7 months, right?
He's 7 months. He just turned 7 months
gosh.
on 4th of July.
That's when they start getting to be so much fun.
I know. Oh, he's like figuring out just all of it. Watching him learn to crawl is adorable.
Oh my gosh.
So cute.
We just did an episode recently on like we called it growing pains, because like switching out baby clothes and switching out beds, and we're like, I can't handle.
I know. Even I just went through his drawers and I was like, you're holding up the little things. You're like, he doesn't fit in this anymore. Can we cut? You guys might know this. Can you cut the feet out of their pajamas and let them still use it for a minute?
People do. Yeah.
Okay. I figured. Is there a special cut to do?
My mom would cut it and then she'd put socks over me, like over my feet.
There you go.
Like big ones, bigger socks. So then it would cover where the cut was.
It's like
I knew there was a way. Because some of them I'm not ready to let go of it.
I know, they're so cute. In our episode, I put away all of my kids' clothes and gave a bunch away. And you should see just the totes that we saved of their old clothes, even though they'll never wear them again.
Right.
I don't know why we're saving them, but they're so little and so tiny, and they still smell like Dreft washing detergent.
Oh, yes.
Can't give them away. No, can't do it.
We can't do it. We have some
sweet.
issues to work through. I have an attic of stuff to work through at some point. So.
Oh dear. You know what? Addict sounds an awful lot like. Who's like addicted to saving their clothes.
Yeah. And I have a boy and a girl. So there's two sets up there. There's two jumpers up there. There's a mamaroo. What am I doing? What is this all doing up there?
It's like when they move out, you're just gonna like slow dance around with it. Yeah, I know. We'll think about that a long ways from now.
Oh my gosh. Thinking of all the baby stuff now. Okay. Are you originally from California?
I am. I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area. So now I live in Los Angeles. So just a little 5.5 hour drive from where I grew up. But yeah, I'm a California girl.
Nice.
Wow. So far away from Minnesota. I'm from Minnesota.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, Frank and Jen are based in New York, so we're kind of spread out.
Okay. Oh, you sure are. I have family in Minnesota. Well, actually, a fun fact, we have in our touring rider, like all the list of stuff that we need, and people, they read the writer, but they rarely read all the pages. They kind of like flip through, especially if it's like a big theater and they're like, oh, it's just a kid show. What do they need? Okay, great. So at the very end of our writer, we have in small print, it says, when when possible, we request that all bad news be delivered in a Midwestern accent. And we just put it there just to see like who actually reads the rider. And so some people will be like, got that last one. We're like, oh, you read it. Good.
I'll give you my phone number. And if
exactly.
News, I'll just like pull out the Minnesota mom.
Exactly. Yes.
And just
thank you.
Perfect.
There's something soothing about that Minnesota mom voice.
Genevieve, Angela's on the phone.
Exactly.
Okay, but I'm ready for it. Yeah.
You'll see my name. You'll be like, oh, here we go.
I know.
With her hot
at least it'll sound nice.
Canceled. What happened? Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh my goodness.
Since we're the high-strung New Yorkers, and I know I work with a couple of folks from California who definitely have like a West Coast vibe that I just don't.
Yeah.
Is that something you grew up around? Could you see differences? Did you just know that you were growing up in kind of a chill, low-key environment? Like, what is that like?
That's such an interesting question. Did I know? I think so. Because again, we had family, in the Midwest, and yeah, there's definitely like a California vibe, and we love to take advantage of our California weather and all those things. So I think there's a part of it that I knew growing up. It was pretty,
it's just
totally awesome.
Yeah,
like on the level, right? Like there's not, I feel like it's not the trying to rattle someone from the West Coast, I feel like I've seen people get angry at people I know from California, and the Californian is always just like cool as a cucumber.
Oh, good. Well, that's nice. I'm glad to hear that. I would hope so. And even above that, like San Francisco, I'd like to think we have kind of like a nice reputation for being nice too.
Yeah.
We're in the Midwest, Frank. We apologize to you. If Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. As Frank has his elbows out getting onto the subway every day, like,
right. And I admire that. I wish I had some of that sometimes. Actually, even moving just from the Bay Area, where we really do pride ourselves on being nice and talking to people and striking up a conversation. Then you get to LA, it's kind of like culture shock a little bit in the heart of the kind of Hollywood scene, where it's kind of like, oh, hey, so what, trying to strike up, and some of the girls are like, oh, what? Wait, what do you do? What show is it? Oh, just like, don't worry about it, but it's awesome.
You do your thing, I'll do mine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, let's go back to the beginning, with your roots in the Bay Area. Where did your love of music come from, starting when you were younger?
Well, luckily for me, my parents are both musicians. So I had that coming. Yes. So right from birth, I was at gigs and, in sessions. And my dad was, he was signed to a major label, which was called Casablanca Records. He was in a band called Santa Esmeralda. They toured internationally and had some big hits and stuff. So that was really cool, just to have that experience. And then my dad actually owns an agency in the Bay Area. He does events, and he has represented different acts and artists over the years. So it's like I actually had, parents that saw my dream as a real career. So that really helped,
It helps when it's in the DNA like that. It's
definitely. Yeah.
So did you grow up traveling with them?
No. So my dad sort of slowed it down once I was born. And through that, he did a lot more studio work and production, which is really cool transition into the fact that he is my manager, and he has toured with Choo Choo Soul for 14 years doing the sound live.
Oh my gosh.
Awesome.
That's really cool. I mean, those moments as a parent, you can imagine, there's times when we have a full theater and I can do the full concert where I'm singing When You Wish Upon a Star, like on the stage, and he's calling the lights and has the spotlight and he's like on the things like,
yeah.
I know. Like sometimes to get choked up.
Yeah.
That really goes full circle. You know, you learn from the best and they pass on their knowledge. And I think of it as kind of rare that, you know, not all parents, maybe I shouldn't say rare, not all parents understand that the creative arts can be a career path.
Yeah.
You know, more often you see like you should be a doctor, you should be a teacher, a nurse.
Which I also agree with, kids.
Yes. Very, very important.
All those are good too. Yeah.
But to have
it's true,
parents that, you know, see that for you and encourage you, that's not the case for a lot of artists.
Yes.
So wonderful.
It's so wonderful. It's so true. Yeah. Very lucky there. And just being able to navigate that world, although he waited for me to ask him to represent me. So he watched me like stumble and trip and do like gangster rap songs and everything. And he's just like, I hope she comes to me soon.
He's just like waiting.
Can I just make one great bit of advice was to use an alias. So very glad I did that then, because you know, some of those songs don't need to be crossing over into my iTunes search.
That's such a parent thing to do now that
I
we're
know.
parents, but like
protect you.
let them come to us. They have to find their way, but they'll come back.
It's so good. I mean, because I don't now that I'm a parent, I'm like, I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah.
They're like, no, this is how it's gonna happen. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I'll let you know the path you're on.
Yeah. Exactly. Sometimes I even find myself, and this is so terrible, but some pictures, like my husband will be like, look at this. I'm like, well, he doesn't look that cute there. I'm like, what about this one? He's like, ew.
That's such a parent thing. That is you know what I should say.
Okay, good.
Such a mom thing.
I've been feeling really bad about it, but it's always followed up with me finding a cuter picture and then using that one.
No.
Right.
Sometimes there's an angle, you know, we got angles and all of us, even if you're 7 months old, you're not safe.
Yes. My husband has done it, like posted a picture. I'm like,
why would you pick that?
Yeah. That's like not the best one from the day. Right. Did you see all these?
Yeah, exactly.
The husbands don't care. They're just like, oh, look, baby, a picture. And we're like, okay, I took 15. Which one is, this is the cutest.
Yeah. But again, Ben, they don't care until it's a photo of them they don't like.
Frank, care to comment?
No, I will comment because I don't think it's just a husband-wife thing. Because Jen, when you and I do Dillo's Diz trips to Disney, we take all these selfies. You don't say word one. 3 months go by and I like put up a picture and you're like, why did you post that picture?
That is a horrible picture of me. And you're like, what are you talking about? I used it like 2 months ago. I'm like, what is my forehead in this picture? Get it out of here. No. You have to delete that immediately.
I do that to my husband.
We're our own worst critics.
I know.
It's amazing. It's amazing. You know, and it's interesting over time, because obviously with your art, you're also your own worst critic.
Oh, so true.
But then as I get through my art after all these years, I'm starting to be like less hard on myself. I'm like, okay, that was pretty good. It's all right.
I did want to ask you that, just like from a singing perspective, is there a point where like you stop being so self-critical of every note or every song?
Yes, there is. There's a mixture between, you know, the technology available to us with auto tuning and Melodyne and Waves Tune, where you can go in there and fix little notes. But then there is a part where there's a natural thing that people do that's not absolutely perfect. And so you need to keep a little bit of that in there.
Yeah.
Gosh, it's a learned skill to like finally just accept yourself. Sometimes I have in my mind this really cool like run or way to sing something, and I just keep doing it. I'm just like, oh honey, you can't hit that. You just can't.
It gets like worse the longer you practice it. Yeah.
I hear it perfectly in my head how I want it to be, but and over time. And I've learned beyond just that, I've learned how to support a vocal with a lot of background vocals to make it sound better, for example. So I've honed my craft as a recording artist pretty well. But yeah, there's always that piece where you're like, oh, or even when I make music for Disney Junior, worked on the nursery rhyme series, on the Disney Junior Ready for Preschool series, and also most recently the Disney Junior Lullaby series. And it's interesting because Disney, we deliver all the stems, all the files for the songs. One group of stems goes to Disney Records so that they can put it out on iTunes and all of that. The other batch, which is more detailed, goes to Disney Channel, and they do a different type of mix. Usually they like to hear the voice louder, and they add sound effects or whatever, and your backgrounds will be lower. Some of the bumping bass, or like for me, some of those hip hop drums will be lower in the mix, and the voice will be out. So sometimes I'll watch it on TV and I'll be like, oh, that one note, I didn't hear it before. You know,
you're like, that's not how I produce it.
That's not what I gave you. Why are you? It's like the picture, posting a picture on Facebook.
Right.
That's not the picture I had in mind. I wanted this one.
Exactly. Do you mind walking us through how you got from, A to Disney?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's a really cool story, I do believe, especially now seeing where I am at I don't want to say the end of it, at this chapter. But I started out, I was doing hip hop and R&B music in the Bay Area. I had a band, and I had a hip hop group I was a part of. And through that, I just heard about an audition for a video game, which was called Toe Jam and Earl. And it's kind of like a cult favorite, cool little funky game. Anyway, they were casting for a female rapper, so it came across my feed. Anyways, I auditioned for it, and the coolest part of the whole story, I think, is that I didn't get the part, and it still ended up in where I am today. I just got to know the creator of the game, Greg Johnson, and Burke Treishman, who did the music. And through that, we ended up doing more. I did a lot of background character voices. And through that, I suggested singing some of the parts, which kind of woke up this part in Greg Johnson where he had this idea for Choo Choo Soul in the back of his mind. And but it was just an idea at the time, and that kind of the trifecta of us three being together, he was like, wait, would you guys be interested in making this kids CD? And so I was like, yeah, let's do it. Keep in mind, I'm an R&B star though. I'm not gonna be a kids artist or anything. It's like, okay. It's so funny to fast forward now. I'm 105% kids artist. So yeah.
Do you mind if I interrupt? Were you also doing voiceover work at the same time that you had your R&B group?
Well, that was my first voiceover work per se. That was my introduction to it, because it came through they were looking for a female rapper at the time. So then that sort of woke me up, and I started to do a lot more voiceovers in the Bay, because it's big video game capital.
Right, it's all tech.
Yeah.
There
So I did work with Leapfrog. I did some work with the George Lucas company. They had a game called Thrillville that I did some work for. I did some Hello Kitty stuff. So I got into voiceovers through that path. But at that time, we made the Choo Choo Soul album, and it was just going to be a CD. We thought maybe it would get into schools. We almost had a deal with Hear Music that was CDs that are in Starbucks. And that fell through, and we're like, darn, and then it made its way to Disney, and they heard it, and they were like, wait, this is really cool. They're like, and they invited us to come to Burbank. And I thought it was a meeting. It actually was a classroom with a bunch of suits in the back of the room with cameras, and they literally just walked me in. They're like, all right, go. Excuse me? Hey! Okay. And so I would love to see that video one day.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It must still exist somewhere. But anyway, apparently it went well. I mean, I had experience performing because I had a band, but you know, it's just a different way, but it's incredible how, so that happened. They saw it, they thought the music was great, because urban music, quote unquote urban music, it's really fun, it's popular, kids gravitate towards it, but it's so easy to do it wrong. So I think the fact that they found, you know, a packaged concept and music that was already done, and it was done well, and in the way that I sang and performed, a lot of the Choo Choo Soul songs that became episodes, they were the original recordings that we did in Berkeley, California, actually in 2005.
Wow.
So they just took that and they made videos out of it. So the fact we already had it based around a train, the whole concept was there. So what do you think
attributed to, because obviously your personality, your aura, whatever, jumps out at the screen. So here you are, you put in front of a classroom and you're like, connect to the kids, go.
Right. Yeah.
So you look back and go, what were the things that happened beforehand that, I mean, performing in front of an audience with a band, but also, is it the voiceover work and being able to
that's such a good question. Not to mention I worked in customer service a lot. So I worked, and I was a server. I was a bartender. I was, but I always liked just being a server. I loved it. And every table you go up to, it's like an audition pretty much. It's just like, hey, I'm here for you and I'm going to feed you. It's just kind of like walking on a stage. Hey, I'm going to entertain you, and you may love me, you may not. My goal is that you love me. Let's enjoy, you know? And I think that helped a lot. There is a natural, just something, I mean, without getting too deep, I do feel that I was, you know, chosen to do this. I do feel this is my life's purpose, and I'm channeling some sort of magic through me. So I do believe that, but yeah, it's so interesting. I think part of it was the shock. I didn't know I was going to do it. So I was so authentically myself. That worked. You know, a lot of times people that when they think I'm going to do kid stuff, all of a sudden it's like, hey, it's like, oh, you're already doing it. No, don't do that. You know, it's like, again, it's that authenticity that you just can't.
Yeah, if your instinctual reaction is to come off this genuine, then it's gonna pay off in dividends.
I've just kept that up over 15 years. It's so every time, I mean, and I would hope, and I would almost stake my career on it, that you could ask any of the thousands of people who have come across me in life at a show or whatever, that I try to be that every time, like every kid, every family, you know, and through that, I've been blessed because I have now these friends all over the country that I get to watch their kids grow up. It's like, it's incredible. So
I think from just my own personal perspective, you bring something so your music was something that Disney Junior really hadn't seen before. And it was really exciting, and it was exciting for the parents, and it was enough to make the kids stop during what would be a commercial, not the show, and just watch, you know, whether it would be the beatboxing, because my brother does beatboxing, and I know whenever he starts up, the kids just stop and stare with him. And the different musical stylings that you could do with your voice, you know, whether it be, you know, doing your Under the Sea kind of rendition, or, you know, the hip hop, the R&B, you know, it was just so different than anything Disney Junior had done. And it was so interesting and beautiful and fun. And it was enough to get stuck in my head all day.
That's great. I'm sorry.
No, in a good way. It was not, it's nothing like It's a Small World. No.
Right.
It's stuff that I know, Frank. I'm sorry.
Yes, but I know what you mean. It's like that whole, and I think kids don't get enough credit, or they didn't. I mean, now they're getting more, but at the time it's like they hear what's on the radio and they can tell the difference between like what I like to call intentional music, versus, so I always like to write a song and perform a song in the way that's like, not like, hey kids, you should do this, more like, hey guys, this is what I'm doing, and if you want to join in, let's go. That's like my version of it, which I think just that little pivot really helped, and it made it like, and parents want to listen to good music, because like if your kid likes something, they listen to it over and over and over and over again.
And if the parents like it, then you're allowed to listen to it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like everybody deserves a little more credit. You don't become a parent and suddenly you're like, you don't like great music anymore or something,
Right. Yeah. But you're reaching the generations. I told my mom that we were going to be interviewing you, and she's a grandparent. Yay. And I just sang the beginning of one of your songs, and she's like, oh my gosh, I love her. And then she kept singing it.
Oh my gosh.
You're spanning generations at this point.
Amazing.
Which is awesome.
I'm really tripping out because there's some of my fans at the very beginning can vote this year.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, wow.
You're like, how did this happen?
No, and I think that's really important too. I scrolled through your Twitter. First of all, your Twitter bio is hilarious because like, don't look at my number because my fans are young. I love it. And then I like just seeing what you were retweeting and everything, and your fans revisiting what they remember and how the emotional reaction they have to seeing it. To us, to Jen and I, we have, and Angela to an extent, I mean, I don't want to speak for her, but we're very much like sensory Disney people, so there's like voices that just like define Disney to us in a certain way.
Disney feels.
Disney feels.
That's awesome.
And we feel like just my 4-year-old like ran the gauntlet with all your stuff today during lunch. And I could tell that she was like, I know this song, I like it.
That's great.
But it's just like a voice, you have that kind of voice that defines Disney for people.
Wow, that's so cool.
Amazing. What kind of feedback do you what kind of, you talk about that they're getting ready to vote this year. What other kind of awesome feedback do you get? Fans
the great feedback I get is things like, whatever the current trend slang is, they'll insert that, whatever it is, like, oh, I used to turn up to you in the morning, or whatever it is,
This song is lit.
Exactly. I'm like, I think I'm still cool. Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, that is just amazing.
But it's funny too that you used magic as a way to what you're channeling, because a few years ago, my son is 6 now. So probably when he was 2-ish or 3-ish is when we started discovering your videos, and he was all in on them. But it is a fun aspect of it, but I think there is something like magical about those videos where you're
just draws you in
to life. It's in a different way than the movies can do it. Right. And now my 3-year-old daughter, completely obsessed with When You Wish Upon a Star. I mean, oh my God, you are a princess. I want to see the princess one. I want to watch it. So it's, I think there is absolutely magic to it all as well.
It's so cool. And I do try to keep that in mind, like as I'm singing something, as I'm recording it, even, which I've done a lot of the new stuff, like right here in this chair. And I just try to imagine just that extra layer of, if I was being filmed right now, because I do believe, like, you can hear a smile over the phone,
Yep.
or
Yeah.
you can hear if somebody's like, not happy or whatever. So I try to just imagine, like, if I can take them on this journey with whatever it is I'm doing, which I do think helps too.
Yeah. How was the decision made to take Choo Choo Soul like on the road and start traveling around?
So that was my dad. He kind of asked them, would you be opposed to us touring this, because it's really fun. And it was growing so fast. I mean, I think they just thought maybe they would do 5 videos, and then the feedback was really good. So, it was his idea to try it out. And there were some big kind of festival type things that we could be a part of. And one being the Target Festival of Books that they did, that would be in several cities. And that was kind of like we were able to learn about ourselves live and see the kids live, that's helped me the most as an artist by far, is just seeing the kids, and how they just want to belong. They want to succeed. They want to join in. And I always keep that in mind when I'm writing a song, because it's like, as artists, we're like narcissists at some point, where it's like, wait, let me get really amazing. Hold on. And like, nope, you already lost them. The kids are gone. Wait, come back. Like, let's just hit them right away and make it fun,
Yeah.
Well, and you have to allow yourself to be a little goofy when it comes to being around kids.
Oh, for sure.
Or else it's not gonna work. You can't be all like calm and collected.
Exactly.
Like, no, you have to make yourself look like an idiot with kids.
Exactly. That's definitely happened many times for me, and it will continue to happen. I know, and I have to remind myself too. It's like, okay, calm down. Don't take yourself so seriously. I think,
Had you worked with kids at all prior to all of this?
I had, but not like this. I mean, I had a lot of kids in my family, had friends with kids. I always was drawn to children. But I wasn't like, a teacher or preschool teacher or nanny or anything. I just kind of like fell into it, which is amazing because I never left.
What are your tips for maintaining a high energy level to be able to perform in front of thousands of kids?
Oh my gosh, it's so interesting. Well, coffee. Coffee is that is my thing. I just try to not, it's there. But yeah, you either have it or you don't in that regard. It's something that either feeds you or it doesn't. It's just like, I'm just pumped just to do it and just to see the kids. But if they're having fun, like, you're energized. That's it. And it's amazing because I did this for so long without having a child of my own.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just going to be a whole new world when he starts to comprehend it. It was really funny though. I do have to say, the other day I put Choo Choo Soul on and my son started crying.
Oh, no.
It's like, where's Money in the roaster racers? This sucks. No, I'm just kidding. I think we'll get there. He likes music. He's heard all of the Ready for Preschool on Disney Junior now. That first season, I was pregnant with him the entire time I produced and wrote and sang all of those songs.
Oh, wow.
And then now this new season, he's been here with me. So it's cool to like watch him if he kind of like goes like that. I'm like, okay, I think I'm onto something good.
Did you absorb this through osmosis?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's hilarious.
So he'll be like, what song is your mommy on the TV?
Oh man, that's gonna be weird when he grows up and goes to school.
I know.
Your mommy,
right? It'll be really cool up to like age 5 probably, and then he'll be like, oh my God.
Well, I don't know. My daughter is 6.5 and she still loves Your Boo For You Halloween.
Oh yay! I
loves
that.
it.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
We know all the words in it.
That's so great. See, that song started something new for me because I think that was the first one that I did for Disney Junior that was like a holiday song or like a stamp song for them when I started to transition from just being Choo Choo Soul in their mind. So that was really cool. Actually, through Disney itself, the company, I started working for an initiative called Disney English that teaches English as a second language in China. When I started with them 7 years ago or 8 years ago, they had one school, and then there are 21 schools now in China. Wow. Unfortunately, they just closed the doors on all their schools due to this COVID thing. It's so sad. Shoot. They're going to transition to digital, but it was just amazing. So I wrote over 100 songs for that, that program. And I made a phonics program using like beats and rhythms to teach phonics sounds, and did a lot of narration and stuff for them. But that was actually my first transition out of just Choo Choo Soul. But Disney Channel had never really heard that stuff. It's amazing. Disney's so big. Yeah. There's so many departments that they don't necessarily all know what everybody else is doing, you know? So I was always kind of like, I also write, I can do other stuff. I'm very grateful for what I have, but I also can do more. So it was cool. They hired me just to sing those songs. Yeah. And what was great about those, so I did the Boo For You Halloween. I did the Christmas one, which is Magical Holidays. Excuse me, holiday, not just Christmas, holiday. And that one was like so outside of what I was known for, because I'd be like, hey, what's up? I'm Genevieve. You know, it's like, but that one was like, gather your family around you. It was very like Broadway-ish.
Oh my God, how did I forget about that one? Oh, come on. It's all, you like literally
enjoy the warmth of the season, hoping this feeling stays.
I think I might cry.
Magical holiday. So that sort of thing, like, I was so excited that I could even do that. I was like, oh yeah, totally. Yeah, for sure. I'm like, oh my God, I hope I can do that.
Oh my gosh.
And it helped to elevate it into like, see, I'm not just that style, you know, and I can do more.
Every year too.
Yes.
And every time I stop and I have to sing all of Boo For You Halloween, because that high note at the end kills me. I don't know if you're singing it in a mix or your upper register, but every time I'm like, I need to sing it like Genevieve, or else I failed today.
Oh gosh.
Do you want to help her with that part?
I know, like, what is that again?
Because I'm gonna go flat and then I'll feel bad.
Don't worry, I have things for that.
Yeah, use your audio.
Just send me the audio file. I'll raise you right up to the note you need to be.
Yeah, you made me blush.
I love it. Oh, it's so fun.
Oh my God, Magical Holidays! Like literally, you did one note, and I was like,
I know, it brings you back.
Amazing.
It's so great. I would love to, when all of this is safe again, you know, I hope that they will come up with some way to, because I was in kind of the end of an era of humans being on Disney Junior. So, and I started, it was Playhouse Disney actually.
Yeah.
But I do think there's something very special about that human interaction for kids to see. Obviously, financially, it's much smarter to have animation because you can translate that into it's 16 to 30 different languages that they translate their shows into. Wow. So obviously they can't do that with a human, but it'd be great to be able to do some sort of live tour. I certainly have enough songs. There's 50
you have a couple
nursery rhymes. Now there's going to be 50 of these other ones. But yeah.
I think
you'll have some adult fans in.
Yes, we'll be here.
3 people show up.
We're there.
Where should we meet? What's in between? Should we meet in Connecticut or Maryland?
Yeah, right.
Frank's like, do I have to go?
You do.
Jen and I will have our T-shirts on.
Yeah.
We do a lot of children's programming in the place where I work. So
it's true. You too.
I know. Oh, sorry. Jen, I want to fangirl like one more time, and then I'll stop.
I can't stop smiling, Jen. I know exactly how you feel.
So a few years back, as we're watching these, I'm watching you going, who is this? I
yeah.
don't know her. Oh my God, she does everything. She literally does everything. Like I could not get over, like, I'm just thinking like, oh, who is this new person?
Right.
Like, who am I? Like, I'm new to Disney Junior at that point. She's not new. I'm new. Yeah, exactly.
That is so cool.
But transitioning into more with Disney Junior and preschool songs and lullabies, was it more from Choo Choo Soul?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. I would think it stems more from Choo Choo Soul, but also because I actively try to stay, relevant to them. I'll be in and out of the office or coming in with ideas or, just staying in touch and letting them know other things that I'm doing. So the channel is very separate from it. That actually was through Disney Publishing, was the Disney English project. But yeah, so it came definitely through Disney, through Choo Choo Soul would be how it came to be, that they came to know me. And then over time I proved myself as, more than a singer. And then now I'm writing songs, now I'm producing songs and even mixing songs now because I can't go to the studio. So I'm like learning even more. So it's pretty great.
And do you come up with the ideas for the songs or do they give you
so
ideas?
They give me the ideas, depending how we do it. The Disney English process was really interesting because not only did I have guidelines of because the kids would come in to an actual Disney building. They pick an American name that they're going to use that day. They have the Disney ears. They sit down. They're immersed with Disney stuff. So if we had a song or a lesson, it would be, we need to teach these words first, next, after, and then. And it needs to sound like Peter Pan because we're going to pull all this Peter Pan imagery in. And here's the list of the only English words they know. Go for it. Like, okay. Woo! It was like great test for songwriters. So now it's very similar in that Disney Junior is using their current show stars to be starring in these little animated videos. So it'll be like, if we need a wash your hands song, then we're going to use Doc McStuffins. So in some way, whereas with the Disney Junior shows, it's not as like, well, I can't say that. It is different. For example, they have a show called Mira Royal Detective. So that one,
I'm familiar.
It's so good. Oh my God, that theme song is so good. I can't get it out of my head. But that one has a very distinct cultural sound to it. But a lot of the other ones, maybe somewhere in the back of our minds, we have a musical style in mind, but it's not as serious as like Peter Pan would sound different than Lion King. And you can imagine what that is. But yeah, for this one, they'll give me a song briefing. They'll tell me what the video is pretty much going to be about, and what they need to teach, what the curriculum department needs to be said, and how it needs to be described. For example, trying to think of one of the notes that we went back and forth on a lot. Well, we just did a song about facts versus opinions. Pretty deep concept. And then the whole like Black Lives Matter and all of this social awareness that has happened, where we kind of looked back at the song like, hold on, wait, let me edit that just a little bit, because it was kind of like, I have my opinion and that's okay. That's not the song, but it's just like, wait, maybe that's not okay. Hold on a second.
Not you, Karen. Everybody else.
Exactly. I love it. Yes. So anyway, it's really interesting though every time, and I have to know that when I'm sending off a song, there's 6 different people listening to it with coming from their perspective. So sometimes I'll send a song and they'll be like, oh, it's a little too adult sounding. Because I like to push that line because, like I said, I think kids deserve more credit.
I think that's how you've gotten where you are.
Yeah, totally. And so just not being, because I know them so well, I'm not offended or I'm not heartbroken if they're like, we're not feeling this one, let's try it again, you know?
No, everything you've put out, it comes across as if you want the audience to play from the top of their intelligence. Like it's something that comes up a lot. And like
great statement. Thank you.
But the rhythm, that they pick up rhythm that way, and they pick up just that things can be different. Doesn't have to, you can change things up and things like that.
Right.
Since Jen mentioned and you mentioned the relevancy and Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
When you did your story time at the beginning of June, you did a reading of The Skin You Live In, and then you did like 45 minutes, and it was so awesome.
Thank you.
Just putting your heart out there and talking about that the whole
much. I wasn't even expecting that to happen, but it was. Yeah.
No, I mean, and it was just so, and especially preparing for this, I was like, oh my God, it was just again, it's you connect so well in that way, it jumps off the screen, everything like that.
Thank you.
So again, trying to stay relevant, pushing that line a little bit, getting people to play to the top of their intelligence. Like, where's your brain been for the summer now? And thinking where your creativity's going.
That's such a good question, because I've been working on this, and I'm so grateful to have this, to work on right now, when so many people aren't able to work. But so I've been working on this, which is very interesting. Being a songwriter for hire is different than being an artist, just to be, as an artist. And in ways I've been a songwriter for hire, producer for hire now for a while without doing my own thing. So I'm kind of like remembering, wait, who am I as an artist? Hold on. I'm trying to like watch my old stuff like, oh yeah, that's right. Because I did my whole Do You Know album and brand. I did that I guess about 5 years ago that I started that. And that was really because I was like, you never know when Disney's just like, Choo Choo Soul has run its course, that's it. And so I wanted to make sure that I had my own thing, my own thing going. But this summer, so I've been working on wrapping that project up, which has been incredible and helped me grow so much this year. As I said, I'm starting to mix and everything. But I'm also working finally on a new project that I'm going to be releasing. That'll be around October. And for this one, I'm going to focus on just fun, upbeat dancing, kind of like what people know me for. And included in that is going to be all of these fun things to do from home. So I have... Right now I'm working on a song called Shadow Puppets on the Wall. Pretty amazing. We're going to work on some like summer all year long kind of a vibe, since we kind of didn't get a summer. So how can we make it summer in November, like in the living room? And just kind of fun like that. So I'm going to get back to that, just fun music, because I broke off from Choo Choo Soul and I did a complete, like, basically a Ready for Preschool album on my own. And then Disney came around and was like, hey, we want to do Ready for Preschool and teach stuff. And I was like, oh great, I already do that. So I've been kind of like doing teaching songs a lot lately. So I'm excited to just kind of do some party songs and just, we all could use like a, okay. I'll definitely will inject some social awareness in a good way. It's a very, the whole community of children's artists, which it's almost like we're like the artists that you don't think of, it's like, oh yeah, I guess people do that, huh? But it's like we've all been, it's been interesting for everyone to talk about these issues and to navigate them and to look at yourself and to look at what's happening and just to figure out how you want to publicly, touch on these matters. But even, I don't want to say even more so, but as children's artists, a lot of the group of children's artists have kind of been like, gosh, how do I tackle this? Because, you don't want to bring up like, you know, the MURD word when you're talking to kids, like,
Right,
so it's
right.
like, wait, what are we gonna, what's appropriate for, you know, so I think I tried to plan kind of what I was going to say, and then it just kind of came out on that one story time that you're talking about. But yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting, but we're all trying. I think that's something that we have in common across the board as parents, as people, is we're always learning and trying and just trying to just be the best people we can.
Yeah. But I think that came through in that story time.
Oh, great.
You know, you weren't expecting to do that, but you're
Yeah.
like, you know what? I have this platform. I'm just going to sit and talk
Yeah.
and read a book that a lot of
Yes.
kids know and is
Right.
also relevant, and then
Right.
just talk. And I think kids appreciate that so much. I think parents appreciate that because it helps open the lines of communication.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
that was kind of a good, I think, jumping off point, I would think, to start there. Like, you know what, let me just get it out, and then I can kind of plan a little better.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes just a simple line can mean a lot. And maybe 10 years from now, somebody listens back and is like, oh, wow, that was pretty deep.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But just enough to straddle that line of give the kids a moment to just like relax. They've watched their parents frustrated from being at home. They've watched their parents cry looking at the news.
Yeah.
They feel the tension, but yet they're too young to really understand. So it's like, I do also kind of want to be like, hey, let's dance.
Yeah.
And
know?
kind of on that note, has what you've put out or what you're putting out in all these projects, has that mindset changed since having a child?
That is a good question. You know, it makes me appreciate, you know, even like the work that I've done more, and the people I know that genuinely like make it their life's work to entertain kids. Like I really understand, like, wow, that's beautiful. And I've heard parents tell me something like, you know, oh, my kid loves you, or they stop what they're doing and they just would look at the TV and be like, wow. And then so to watch my own child doing that to a certain show or song, or something, like, wow, okay, that's amazing. And but I've always tried to really think very hard about everything that I'm doing, but I certainly have a whole new inspiration now. It's just like, wow. And also noticing when you just have a 6-month-old, when I'm just say the dumbest things and just repeat them over and over, and he's like, I'm like, okay, again, reminding myself, it doesn't have to be that complicated and deep. Get him going and just, you know, just make it fun. You know,
keep
just a
it
good
basic.
reminder.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a great reminder.
They'll laugh over peekaboo for an hour.
Yeah, exactly. I know. And I'm over here trying to write Hamilton. It's just not
exactly.
Did you see Hamilton? Oh, I'm just gonna side note here.
And I have to tell you, and I have to admit and confess to everyone in the world that was my first time seeing it the day it came out on Disney Plus. I listened to the soundtrack, but it's something about that. I remember the moment that I heard the soundtrack years ago and being like, wow, this is really great. But it was so like, that's really cool, you know? And for those of you that can't see me, I just had a fake
telescope.
Telescope, thank you. And I was looking at a tiny little thing, but it just inspired beyond belief. It's just incredible. It's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Truly.
No, there's a reason why it won the Pulitzer. It's you know, Jen and I are New Yorkers, and we weren't able to get to see it because you know, you try to play the lottery every day.
Oh yes.
And I was really amazed at how well, since we've been talking about connection and things like that, how well a film version of a musical was able to get you as close to the experience
Yeah,
of audience.
I was so
performer.
there. That's so true. I mean, I was in the theater. I felt it. They did a great job.
Yeah.
Everybody did such a great job. And just to see all these people of color playing different roles and and it wasn't about the race of the person performing. It was a character, and it was so beautiful, like in so many ways. I mean, and then as a person who came from a hip hop background, to just see that all those raps, the way they were constructed, it was just amazing. I mean, so inspiring. And I already had dreams of being on Broadway, although my personal dream is to play Willy Wonka on Broadway. But
I was just gonna ask, would you ever be on Broadway?
Oh, I would love it. I would love it. But yeah, that was a whole other, from my many files of ideas that I have, that just sparked up another one, an old one. I'm like, oh, remember that musical I was writing like 6 years ago? I got to get back on that. But yes, just amazing.
Yeah.
Where else do you find inspiration in media these days? Music, television, movies? Is there something that you always go back to and watch to pump you up? Or
oh gosh, well, a classic. I mean, I don't know what it is about Willy Wonka that's just like so dear to my heart. That the old Mary Martin version of the stage play of Peter Pan, it was like from the 50s or something.
Jen's losing it.
Yes.
Yes.
So, I mean, I would love to play Peter Pan. I think there's a female I'd like to play somewhere. I just can't think of her right now. But yeah, oh gosh. So I love that. I love any type of live, the minute they all get on stage and sing all together, I'm like in tears every time. Oh my gosh. But right now, what I've been watching, me and my husband and I have been watching on YouTube these like luxury travel videos, because we just can't go anywhere. We just miss it.
Yeah.
Oh, and we're just, I mean, places we never knew we wanted to go to, Cambodia or something. Now we're like, wow, that is great. But I'm drawing inspiration from everywhere. Just, especially just my little guy. He's just so awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like during quarantine, our minds are just so much more open, since we have a little more free time being at home.
Yes.
And you have more time to kind of, go into more creative outlets and be like, oh, I've tried this before, or I haven't had time to watch this or listen to that. So
exactly,
kind of coming everywhere, that inspiration.
It's so true. Yeah. And sometimes I need to go like all the way to like, American Horror Story or something. Like sometimes I just need to completely detach
Tiger
myself.
King.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was so good. Crazy.
Carol Baskin.
Yeah.
Being sort of this ambassador icon to Disney kids everywhere, how much of a connection have you had with Disney parks? Do you just go? Do you visit?
Oh yeah.
Are you more Disneyland than?
Oh gosh, what a great question.
Important questions.
Yeah.
Disneyland, obviously, because I'm here. And there was some moments there where we were just like there all the time. I'm sure you've heard of like the coveted Disney employee pass, where they can like get in free and they can bring 3 guests.
Yeah.
I had that pass for many years. First time I got it was as a thank you when I hit 100 songs for Disney English.
Wow.
And I got to do that. And then I became an employee for Disney for the first time. All these years I've been, a contracted worker. So I was an actual employee with a badge and everything. I was working for Radio Disney. I did a Radio Disney Junior show and app. That was so much fun. Yeah, it was great. And what was cool about that was it was on this random kind of a randomizer. So every time I would come back from the break, I'd be like, oh, I love that song. Don't you? Like, I don't know what it was.
You're like,
yeah. But I would just keep it up and I would just go. I mean, I would just be everywhere. I'd be on camping trips, amusement parks, all just in my brain, just sitting there. imagining. It was really fun, but it was so interesting because like through all that, then I was an actual employee, and then that job ended, and then so it sort of canceled everything out, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have a Disney card anymore. So I was like, wow, am I gonna have to go pay to get into Disneyland? I will gladly pay, but Disney is very dear to our hearts. And then I was able to do DC and I, my partner from Choo Choo Soul, we're able to do a 36 show mini tour at Disney World when we first started. Okay. That was just incredible.
Yeah.
So Disney World is just, it's a world. I mean, there's more, it just really takes you there. You are like in it. And Disney as my husband and I got married in Key West, Florida.
I love
and it was so great. The Ernest Hemingway house. It was just beautiful. Nice. But as a gift, Disney gave us a week at the Disney what was it? Yeah, the Key West Resort. So like we got to stay at Disney World and go to Disney World. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So
at Old really Key West.
Great. Yeah, Old Key West. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
that's a great resort.
It is. So we've been back again since then. And but Disneyland, we would be in and out there all the time. And that card, I mean, I felt it was such a blessing that I used to drive up and down the 5 freeway all the time, sharing that with families and friends, and it was amazing. So Disneyland, we would love to just walk around just for fun. We'd be like, want to get, it was like the Fitbits we're in, we're like, want to go get our steps in?
No, it's so true. When you have that annual pass, you're like, well, you're on property and you're like, well, there's a Starbucks in there. I'm just gonna go in.
So we're definitely gonna do the season pass if I can't work out a little magic on season 3.
Put it in the contract.
Exactly.
Put it in the rider.
Exactly.
But, they give it to you with the Minnesota accent.
Exactly. What I would really like to do, which I'm pretty much pitching every year, is the idea of performing in the Disney Junior area of the parks and doing like an in-park concert series. Awesome. Now I have so many songs. So Rob Cantor, who is the other half of the nursery rhymes and the Ready for Preschool, he does all the boy songs and I do all the girl songs. He's so talented. It's great. It's like I just like fan out on him all the time. I'm just like, oh, he's so good. And we've done some songs together, which are super fun. But it's interesting for him because he does the music for Tots.
Okay.
And he does the music for he did the music for Goldie and Bear, and he did their music for another show. Anyway, he's killing it. He's amazing. And he had a band as well. He may still have the band, but they do, he's not like a kids performer. So I keep reaching out to him like, would you ever? He's like, I don't know. So I'm like, if we pitched it together, it would be so great. But I 1000% understand like someone who's not a kids artist not wanting to tour as a kids act. But yeah, I will be forever hoping that we can do some live stuff because that'd be my thing. And I would love to do it in the parks because there's nothing like being able to hug the real person.
And you're right there. You live
right up the street.
And you have to take the baby.
Of course,
when it's
ready to go. I can
little
put
Mickey
him in
costume.
little overalls. Oh my gosh, no!
Oh, little Choo Choo Soul overalls.
I know.
He could be the DC to your Genevieve.
So adorable.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, we'll figure it out.
Goodness,
we will.
Well, I know that we've had some folks on the last couple of months, and I feel like we just keep coming back around to performers who just have this genuine authenticity to them. As you mentioned, that just really exudes out to the audience, and it's an amazing thing to how Disney can identify those people and know who's going to grab. And so this has been so great talking to you, because I probably knew the least of everyone here. but as soon as I was going, oh, I know the voice. I recognize the voice. And then as I'm watching, I'm going, of course.
Yeah.
Makes total sense.
It's actually, and it's cool to be on the other end while starting from the beginning of a series and hearing their notes back and how precise the notes really are, and think, well, yeah, it's Disney. It's gotta be great. There's a thing to it. It's gotta be right.
Yeah.
So they do a good job.
I want to ask before, but I know we've already kept you like 10 minutes over. But like, there's some like bigger things in your life that have happened. Some Grammy nominations. Some like
big deal.
Some awards, whatever. Okay, but honestly, when you have heard that you were nominated for a Grammy, was that just like...
Did you lose it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I did. And, it's interesting how there's this thing they call imposter syndrome. If you heard of it, where you just almost feel
we're well familiar.
And so, and granted, like, the nominations come from me being a part of an album that was nominated. So it's like I kept being like, I was, but I just only did. Well, my husband would be like, stop doing that. And just take it. But yeah, what an amazing thing. That's like, because also, as far as I can get in my career, it's still a genre that is, it's not like it's the biggest genre in music or anything. It's probably the smallest genre in music, but the Grammy is a Grammy. That's just incredible. So yes, thank you. That's just amazing. So it's nice to put that on my
yes,
on that bucket list.
Titles.
Right,
on my LinkedIn.
Just in case anyone's out there,
If we're playing celebrity bingo.
And you got to visit the White House twice.
Oh,
you
my
were
gosh.
personally invited.
Yes.
Michelle Obama. I don't know if you guys have heard of her. She used to hang out at the White House a little bit.
That was a high point in my life for sure. Wow. And then what was really great was the first time I went, I went as myself, which obviously the Choo Choo Soul work brought me there too, but it really was based on my Do You Know brand that I had done. And so, and being, someone who reads stories and things like that. So I got to come be on the White House lawn, and it was at 2 a.m. that I got the email that Michelle Obama was going to read a story, and asking if I would turn the pages while she read the story. Unbelievable.
Oh my God.
And let me tell you why that happened, because thing 1 and thing 2 from Dr. Seuss, they have character hands, and they couldn't turn the pages. That's how that happened.
You're like, so it's cool. I got it, guys. I got this.
I have human fingers. I can do
this. Easily can do that.
My hands started sweating as soon as you said that. I was like, nope,
all of a sudden I don't know how. Oh my gosh, but it was so just amazing. And then the next year they asked me to come back, and so I actually said, God, that'd be really cool if I could come as Choo Choo Soul this time. Bring DC. And it was so funny when we were asking permission from Disney Junior. They were kind of like, well, wait, what do you need from us? No, we're just saying, is that okay if I bring your brand to the Obama White House? Is that okay? It was pretty amazing. But that for me and for DC was a big milestone, just because, that brand has meant so much to us over all these years. So it's iconic. That's in history forever. Like that happened. So awesome.
I really have no idea how you've done as much as you've done in about 15 years-ish.
And still look
Maybe
like you're 25.
Seriously? I mean, my God. I don't know how there's not 10 of you.
Oh, thank you.
Kidding.
It's so sweet. And then, of course, in my mind, I'm like, gosh, I should have done. I wish I would have done this. I still need to learn to tap dance. All these things I haven't done. I have the tap shoes right there and the board. I got pregnant. And it was a funny sight. Yeah, it was like, ooh. Yeah.
Were you trying to induce labor and you put the shoes on? You're like, man, in 39 weeks today, I learn.
Man, and when you're over a certain age and you're a geriatric pregnancy like me, that they would not let me forget for 1 second.
They always rub it in.
Right when I hit 40 weeks, they're like, okay, we need to induce you now. I'm like, why? At your age, I said, don't you say at my age one more time. Every test came out fine.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to wash your mouth out with soap if you keep saying that.
Exactly. Yes. Ooh, inducing labor. That's a whole other podcast that we can have to talk about.
Oh, that Pitocin.
Ooh, balloon induction first instead. Why?
Oh, they
you went through? Frank, is that what,
yeah, my wife did the balloon induction for 5 hours, something like that, before, because she was sitting at a 3 for a long time. Before.
Well, hey,
5 hours. She was not. She did turn down the Pitocin though. She told that person to leave the room immediately.
Oh
like,
yeah.
I don't want to see you again.
New Yorker.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. What a. Yeah, that my son is beautiful and I love him. Let's just put it that way.
Exactly.
They were a lot of work to get here. Definitely on another episode over.
Yes, that's another episode for sure.
Thank you so much for your.
Oh my gosh, it's been such a treat.
It was so nice of you.
This is awesome. So, well, hopefully, maybe I can come back when my album is done. My EP.
That would be awesome.
Yay! Anytime.
Updated.
Great.
This is also weekly now, so again,
Oh so next week, just tell us where you're at.
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds good.
We'll work around your schedule. It's no problem for us. Yeah.
I love it. Well, this has been so much fun. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.